I don't want to be the person now who listens to an incident and then reacts. I want to do something now to prevent that incident happening. I want to get ahead of it rather than deal with it when it comes. We can all do that together. So thank you so much. Introducing myself first, I'm PC Dole from the Education Diversion team. Our main aim is to educate with early intervention and diversion techniques to divert young students, young individuals, young adults away from crime by providing them with a relevant education and understanding around legislation. And so, like the gentleman just said, today our input's going to be around being street smart and street safe. So we've done this based around various different factors. So normally we would have it for an adult session, and then we would also have one for a younger session. Today we're going to be providing a tweaked version, which is for youngers as well as adults. So you can provide relevant information like I'll be providing with you today. So you can go back and feed this to your family, your friends, so you've got the general knowledge around it. So what is knife crime? So knife crime is a very wide spectrum, and it's something that is an issue not just within Bedfordshire, something around the whole country, something around the whole world. And it's something like we as individuals, us as adults, that we need to be mentors in our individual lives so we can educate young children and adults around knife crime and what it is. So carrying a knife and trying to buy a knife if you're under the age of 18 is what's under the sector of knife crime. Threatening people with a knife, carrying a knife that are banned. I will go through that as well with you. A murder where a victim was stabbed with a knife. I'll go through that with you as well. A robbery or a burglary where thieves are carrying a knife. So the spectrum around knife crime is very wide. It's not just about one individual having a knife and feeling as if they need to have a knife on them. And I will go for the two reasons of why we have gained an understanding of why people feel as if that they should carry a knife and why it's wrong. So, did you know it's illegal to sell a knife to anyone under the age of 18? This general knowledge here, right, is the factors that we're living in this day and age now. The reason why I put this slide up, it might sound very cliche, but we're living in a generation now where you can buy a lot of products online. Now, for us to be able to buy products online, the verification around you being 18 or not 18 it falls upon the adult, the individual inside the household of where you're buying the knife from. So education around that, definitely look into things that your children or anyone that's looking into purchasing and monitor these type of things. So carrying a knife for protection is one of the aspects that I was going to say is a spectrum of statistics that we've got from general knowledge of speaking to individuals who are carrying knives and why they carry a knife. So one of the reasons they carry knives is because they have this insight inside them, the state that they feel as if they need to carry a knife because it's to protect themselves. Now, statistics show that you're more likely to become a victim of a knife, of your own knife that you're carrying. So you're basically putting yourself in a situation of harm as it is. So I'll allow you, Dr. because I'm short on time here as well, and I want you to go through a few things at the end. I won't take too much of your time. So please feel free to read the context on top of the screen at the same time. The very important bit is the bottom part. A knife is not a shield. And this is what we need to understand, that just because you've got a knife on you doesn't mean that harm won't come your way. Things that we surround ourselves with, it attracts us as well. So if you're carrying a knife and individuals know that you're carrying a knife, you're going to attract that type of attention. And you need to ask yourself a question. And if you're, monitoring or mentoring your children, or someone that is carrying a knife, you need to look at their circle. You need to look at the reason why they feel as if they need that shield, right? So staying away from people and groups is one of the biggest aspects of it as well. So if you're surrounding yourself with groups of individuals who feel as if that knife crime is not a major thing and it's just something that we just should be doing, then that's wrong. That those set by as individuals is not right for you. So people who carry knives face a number of consequences, right? So the first consequence is very important that from a policing perspective, and this is why the education diversion team and the community team are here today to explain to you that there's a level of risk that we have to take when dealing with knife crime. So we can't have a normal officer that would go out to deal with this because it puts a level of risk to that individual of an officer, right? So if you're putting yourself in a situation where you're carrying a knife, then you would definitely have, and that incident is brought to your attention of the police, you definitely have a high-skilled firearms officer because that's the level of risk that we have to take for us to prevent any harm to yourselves as well as any harm to us, right? And it's quite intimidating. And we can avoid these situations way early. That's why we do stuff like early intervention and diversion work. These are the type of individuals who will be classed as being sent out to a job like that, right? So you've got taser officers, you've got Harvey, you've got baton, because the risk level, right? So knife crime and the law. So you never agree to look after a knife for someone. And this is another aspect. Like I said to you before, there's two parts. There's one person carrying a knife because they want to protect themselves. The second part is because you're being told, can you carry my knife for me? Can you put this in your pocket? So levels of explaining to you like, okay, you feel a little bit vulnerable. Oh, I need to. I feel pressured. I need to be able to carry this knife for someone because if I don't carry, they're going to beat me up. They're going to do this. They're going to do X, Y, Z. So network. We need to be able to put this forward in a way that everybody understands. So carrying knives within schools is definitely a no-no, and it's something where we're seeing higher in numbers, and we want to go back in reverse now. We want to go back to the ways of when there was no such thing, and it's very alarming to anyone to say, oh, there was a knife incident at school. I think we're coming to the position now where it's becoming not normalized, but not spoken about enough as adults, right? So, possession of a knife can carry a prison sentence up to 4 years, even if it's not used. That's something that I want to really portray out today. So, if you know anyone who could be associated with knife, or a friend of a friend of a friend could be carrying a knife, please relay this type of information to them. 4 years. Okay, and if you stab, I'll ask the question out here, just so we can get some engagement. If you did stab someone, or someone stabbed someone, and they died from that, and it would be a life sentence. Does anyone know what a minimum life sentence is? 27? Anyone else?
17.
17? Anyone else?
25.
25? 25 years. That's 25 years of your life. All of you very, very close. You all had the understanding of it being a very lengthy sentence because it's a very serious crime. So consequences of being caught with a knife has a massive effect on not just the individual's life there and then, but what the effect it has afterwards as well. So it has a bit of a domino effect, right? So I put myself in this situation. I'm a young student or I'm a young individual, and I feel as if it's okay for me to carry a knife because my friends tell me so, or I'm influenced by music, or X, Y, Z, right? It would lead for me to be arrested at that point. For my lack of understanding, I'd be carrying it. It would lead for me to be held 24 hours in police custody. My DNA would definitely be taken. To prevent from any further incidents of any other further knife crimes, and this will be held on record. My photos will be taken. Details of on my PNC of me being a knife carrier will be held. So what that means for me, it's easy for me to understand, for me to study it, right? What people don't understand is going to be on police national computer. That basically means now I'm driving a car. This happened 5 years ago. I'm not associated with anything like that. I was put in a bad situation. Now, the police obviously have to identify risk. If I was identified previously being carrying a knife, would I take the same measurements? I wouldn't. I would have to take certain measurements because there could be a possibility of this individual carrying a knife. So you'd have a weapons marker, is what that is. So these are the type of jobs which will cause a bit of a difficulty. It will cause difficulties if you had a criminal record for you holding a knife or using a knife. Would you be able to become a teacher because you have a DBS check? Have you got any teachers in here? Barfield College here? So, working with young people, got some of them in here today. The police, the doctors, scientists, all these different jobs here hold that level of DBS of a check for you to be able to demonstrate. So why don't we, as mentors today, be able to push that forward and relay this type of information? 4 years, 25 years affects your future. So also it affects your flights. I want you to put this in for a reason, right? Because one of my students, and I only put this in yesterday. One of my students I spoke to before the half-term holiday asked me, and I was there to speak to him, relating him being involved with the wrong individuals and him wanting to travel to America to work in America, right? And the question that was put forward to him was, if he was associated with crime or anything like that, would it affect him to travel to America? The answer is yes, because different countries also hold different checks, right? So look how much of an impact this misunderstanding or something which is the choices and consequences that individuals make, not just young students, adults as well. If we relay the message to them and gain that better understanding, we could divert them away. So if someone is injured, or killed by a knife in the presence, even if you're not the one using the weapon, you too could be prosecuted. You could be sent to prison for murder. Did you know that? Because we all have got this understanding that, okay, I didn't have the knife, my friend did it, so nothing should really happen to me. But that's not how it works. Because did you have knowledge about it? That's what we're trying to relay out there. Because that's called joint enterprise. So the advice is clear: don't give in to them, and don't carry a weapon. It's very, very simple, but I don't think it gets spoken to about enough. Now this is massive. So this is something that I really want everybody to understand. Has anyone here heard of Fearless? Hand up. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 people. And this is what I mean. This is one of the most important things to take out of it. So Fearless is an organization that works with crime stories, right? Fearless is an organization that will allow you, no matter if you're a young student, an adult, if you've got any information regarding any offense that may be coming up or you know about or you can prevent it from happening, the key word here, you anonymously could report that to Fearless and stop it from happening. So for example, if I play you a scenario right now, I'm in school and I know someone's having a fight after school and I know there's going to be weapons involved and I know someone's going to get really hurt, but I don't say nothing because I don't want to be classed as the grass or XYZ. Okay, fine. How do we work around that? We use Fearless. We use Fearless. We explain to the young students and adults, Fearless has been working for years and it has deterred so many incidents. That's very, very key. So you make a report anonymously. This incident's about to happen. Everything gets reviewed and it gets pushed forward, right? And we try to our absolute best with any supporting agencies, the police, XYZ, to try to stop that incident from actually happening. So the message is pretty clear, what I want to put forward today, right? I want to thank everyone who organised and are part of organising this and also who attended, because it's clear to me that you really care about what's going on and you want to make a difference. But it doesn't just stop here, right? It doesn't just stop here. We need to be able to take this and take it home with us and be able to relay this on a positive side to everyone that we know. So the message gets out there more and more and more. So as we've got this setting here today, we've got a certain amount of people, okay? Then when we go home, we expand on that, we expand on that, we expand on that, we expand on that until there's nothing to talk about. But we will never get to that point where there will never be anything to talk about if we don't put ourselves forward. So take this today, what I provide to you, do your own research within it, look into Fearless. Outside, we've got a few things set out, right? Outside here, we've got Bedfordshire Police's latest, and this is all around the country at the moment, wireless knife arches as well as metal detecting, right? Which allows us to mobilely use that anywhere that they need to be used. That's outside a club, that's outside to prevent risk, right? But also it's there for a purpose. But we don't want to be the people now And this is so important. And someone once said this to me, which really hit home. I don't want to be the person now who listens to an incident and then reacts. I want to do something now to prevent that incident happening. I want to get ahead of it rather than deal with it when it comes. We can all do that together. Also outside, really good bit of technology. We've got some VR headsets. I want everyone to take the opportunity. It's about a 15-minute long video. It's a live scenario about knife crime, and it's very powerful. It will play on emotion. It's a fantastic thing to see. And we're going to be running this out to schools, and we're going to be showing this to as many people as we can. So please, definitely come out and have a look at that as well. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Bedfordshire.
Thanks for that, Sonny. Yeah, and actually, one thing I did not say at the beginning was that towards the end, we're going to have a link, which if all of you can just go on your phone and answer the questions in the form, it will be very helpful because we want the young people to get insight from today, that would, deter them from, carrying knives, and then also to report, people that they know that are carrying knives, because by preventing, that's how, people carrying knives, that's how we're going to stop, other young people getting, stabbed, and this is that's happening in schools. But next is going to be because we're going to have some creative sessions after this. Uh, and one of the artists that's going to be facilitating the creative session that will help the young people to vocalize the insight they receive from this session is Brittany. So Brittany will be coming up to share a poem with us. So can you please welcome Brittany?
Hi everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Brittany Virginia, and I'm a poet, a writer, and creative. So I'm looking forward to doing some workshops with young people, whoever comes in May and 2 in June. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, so this first poem is just to show you like my kind of style. I like to play around with words and different things. Wasi. So I'm from St. Lucia. So wasi means, it's a slang term that means like messy, unkept. So that's basically we speak broken French and English called Creole. So this is what this is about. Hope you enjoy. Someone called me Wasi the other day. Someone that I love. And as it flung from their chest to mine, I doubled back, shame for my lack of immediate knowing. After all, this is my mother tongue. And after a few beats, did it hit home? I think it means stale, unkept, messy. A slang term amongst most youth, it means to be stale, boring, unimpressive. I'm pressed to impress the press in the way I dress. I'm wasi. Suppressed to detest the uniqueness in my tress. I guess they were playing chess when I was playing dominoes, as they want me to match the mess that keep them more depressed, to be like everyone else except myself. But I digress. I'm wasi. Boring. I'm boring enough to be forgettable and not get a text back, but my name still be memorably placed at the center table of their conversation. So boring, you're storing scorings of my shortcomings as you keep rip roaring your lack of adorning my outpouring mastery. I'm wasi. Far from impressionable to be held as a queen, I'm too boring to be offered a ring because my body type is too absurd, an obtuse equation. It's like a square and oval in one. Unknown, unwanted, I'm wasi. Stale, Obviously, I'll derail you from your fairy tale. They don't make disabled princesses. That's a trail that will never prevail. As you outsail to upscale from the pit of me, I wish you a festive mocktail as you inhale better air under the nightingale. Someone called me Wasi Wasi the other day. Someone that I love. If only they knew. I wasn't born to convince those whose vision is too weak to capture the beauty of who I am. I am not Wasi Wasi. I'm just Brittany, baby. Thank you. So this next poem is from my friend, actually. So he was deeply affected by knife crime. He was in a gang and he got stabbed several times. And this poem is when he was arrested and he was in prison. And he got into a lot of fights in prison. Now he's completely changed. But he got into a lot of fights and they would send him to isolation, which is a small box. So this is his poem about being in that box. His name is Carl Chalk and he's a writer. And he does other things as well. So, but yeah, he just said he wants to be known as a writer. Isolated alone, trapped in a box. No air, no friends, not even a clock. Can't watch the time, a phone without credit. Trapped with his thoughts, his pain he can't edit. No TV, no radio for music. He stands alone, gathering the strength to get through it. His heart bleeds out, his enemies wait. The only time the door opens is for food on a plate. He prays every day that things will get better. His only comfort comes from a letter. He sits and waits, he reads to get clever. The only thing he knows is this won't last forever. He got himself here and the world doesn't owe him, but he owes the world to write this poem. Love out here will make you or break you. Trust is vital, your best friend will snake you. Fell in love with a girl, you gave her your heart, then she becomes just another regret from the past. Ever been so alive but feel so close to death? Even if you really mean it, then say it with your chest. Keep your feet off the ground, keep your feet on the ground, or fly away with the birds. So much doubt, why not follow your dream? Start thinking about the places you want to go rather than the places you've been. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brittany. Yeah, that was very, very powerful. Well, yeah. So who I'm going to invite up now is Neil from Luton Futures. I'm going to share a story about, I think the third time I met Neil. He shared about what they do at Luton Futures. And the story he shared was about, like a young person that the mom found out that he had a gun, like in his room, and the mom did not know what to do. But during outreach, they put a leaflet through her door, and she was able to, contact, Youth Futures, and they were able to, help the mom with that situation and help that family, to kind of come out of that, that environment. And when I heard that, I'm like, we need to, push this all over Luton, because there are a lot of parents that are probably in that same situation. So yeah, but yeah, News dot gonna come and share about what they do and give us a presentation.
Thank you, Anna. Can everybody hear me? Am I okay for the mic? Yeah. I'll just expand on that story that we just expanded. We met at an event in Luton here back in last October, I think it was. But I work for a charity called U-Turn Futures. We work across the whole of Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire now as well. But this incident was something that was really impactful to both me and also my staff. I was with Antonella at the time when we went out to Marsh Farm to actually try and catch up with this young lad. But the story is we weren't getting any feedback from him. We weren't getting anything from him. We've been asked through MAGPAN, the multi-agency gang panel, to actually go and see him, talk to him about why he's getting involved in this sort of bad behaviours. So Antonella and we went up to the tower blocks on Marsh Farm. The last time I was there, I'll tell you about why I was there last time in a while, actually. The last time was several years ago. And actually, I walked into the tower blocks, and actually, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. When we went up the lift, I can't remember which floor it was, about the 7th, 8th floor, or whatever else on there. We knock on the door. There's no answer. There's no answer in there. So we end up, after a while, pushing the car through the door. Anyway, so we go back to Future's house, have a cup of tea, sit down, debrief what we're talking about, where we're going to go next, and that sort of thing. And Mum phones through to Antonella. So Antonella's having this conversation on the phone with Mum. She says, "Look, I can't answer the door. If I answer the door, it looks as if I'm talking to the feds, and it's the police. If I do this, what's everybody going to think? I'm going to be collaborating around this." But she said, "I'm really worried about my son. He's 17 years old." And she says, "I know, a while ago, it was only a couple of weeks ago, I found his gun in his bedroom. It was underneath his bed around there. I didn't know what to do with it. I panicked, took it away, got rid of it. He came home and he found out it had gone missing, and he went mad. Mum, you've got to give me that gun back. If you don't give me that gun back, I'm dead." She had to give him that gun. She didn't want to, but she had to. But those are the challenges that some of these youngsters are facing. Not just Marsh Farm, it's across the whole of Luton. It's not just Luton, it's the whole of the country at the minute. Yeah, stuff in Luton is always publicised as being a little bit worse than everywhere else. But that's what we're facing. That's what our staff are facing that work for us as a charity. So let me just tell you a little bit about our charity now. So my name's Neil, as always just introduced me. I'm one of the directors for U-Turn Futures. I'm the deputy director. I'm responsible for all the operations that we deliver, the staff that we've got to make sure we're actually interacting the right way and delivering the right services. But we're a charity. We're based in Bedfordshire. We started up 11 years ago, April 11 years ago. And the reason that we started up as a charity is that the chief executives of Luton Borough Council, Central Bedfordshire Council, Bedford Borough Council, the Chief Constable, the Chief Fire Officer, the Chief Probation Officer, wanted something in place that could actually do charitable work to actually access funding, which the police services, the probation service, the local authorities couldn't access at that time of being. So they created U-Turn Futures. I've worked for U-Turn now for 7.5 years, nearly 8 years. Before that, and this is why I was at, I mentioned Marsh Farm, the tower box before, I was in the police for 31 years in Bedfordshire. And Sonny in the room still? Was he gone out? He's gone out. Sonny mentioned in there a while ago, actually talking about the firearms officers and things like that. I was a firearms commander in the police for 10 years, as a chief inspector, 10 years doing that. So I've been on the end of that, asking some of the police officers to go into some situations and actually deal with those situations around there. But fortunately now, I can see the other end of this. I can see what can we do to support the young people, the kids, not just those, but some of these gang members we've got some around the place. And again, they've got to want help, which is where U-Turn comes into this. So what do we actually do? We've got about 8 members of staff that actually interact and work with young people across Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, predominantly around this. We're working in Stockwell Park, we're working in Chorley Boys School at the moment, and we're just picking up another commission from the Police and Crime Commissioner to work across other schools across Bedfordshire. In Hertfordshire, we're doing a lot of work at Stevenage at the minute, but working across the whole of Hertfordshire in terms of young people that are actually getting involved in knife crime, particularly around this. But it's not just about, we talk about them getting involved in crime, they're perpetrators, they're criminals, you shouldn't be doing this. Kids under 18, they're exploited. They're the victims. This is where they start out, they're the victims in this. And they don't always see this themselves. One of the hardest challenges that we have as a charity is getting them to realise that they're being exploited, recognise that they are the victims in this. Once you are able to show somebody that, show that young person that they're up there, where they're sitting within this spectrum of gang criminality, they start to open up a little bit to us. So the staff we've got working for us at the minute, many of you will probably know Roseanne Taylor. Her son AJ was actually killed in Luton 2018. Roseanne works for U-Turn Futures. She's delivering our school navigator programme, but she talks at a lot of conferences, she talks to a lot of groups like we are here today. A very powerful story as a mum who's lost somebody so dear to her. She reflects back on that herself about could she have seen something, done something differently? And again, but she wants to share her story. She's made peace with the boys that did this. She's made peace because actually she wants them to understand what the consequences are. Sonny touched on some of those consequences around knife crime. And he's exactly right. That's the conversation that we have with many young people. So you've got a conviction for possession of drugs, you've got a conviction for possession of a knife, you've got a conviction for this. He's exactly right. When you want to go to, in 30 years' time, take your kids to Disneyland in Florida, they'll let your family, but you won't be let in. That's a hard situation to take, that is. You want to go and actually get yourself a decent job down the road as well. Steve, that works for us and does a lot of work in Hertfordshire. Steve went to the Young Offenders Institute 30 years ago. He's a 50-year-old guy now, Afro-Caribbean background, but he's actually pulled himself out. He went to the Young Offenders Institute for robberies, knife crime. He's got himself a degree now. He's actually a really, really competent member of our staff. Today he's actually in Watford. He's been at the young lad in Watford, and he's living with his grandmother because his mum was killed. So it's a really sad situation, not to do with any violent crime, unfortunately. So it's a really unfortunate position. But the grandmother today said to Steve, she said, "Well, I've got your young boy some chocolates for Easter. I just want to say thank you for what you've done." He said, "No. You've made a difference. I've seen a difference in my grandson." Steve was choked on the back because he takes this young lad out. He's 17 years old. He takes him down the road and they go out and have a talk. He goes and sits in the cafe, buys him a cake, goes a cup of tea, something, whatever, drink, have on this. That's the way they engage. This is outreach work. This is actually engaging. This is taking people in the community, talking to them. And while he's doing that, he's actually running a session with them. He's talking about the consequences. Why are you looking around at these boys? Why are you doing this? All the stuff that somebody's put up on there. Why are you carrying the knife? Why are you doing all this? But slowly, you chip away at that, and actually these young people do actually open up. And this is what the grandmother's now seen. She's seen her grandson now actually open up to her, open up and actually start to think and realise about being exploited. This is understanding. This is the first part of where they start to get to about being exploited around this thing here. Another young girl that we were working with as well very recently, 16 years old. For some reason, she's all of a sudden got to Spain. Not taking any new clothes with her. What are you up to? Last week, she got arrested for possessing drugs. She was carrying drugs with somebody. Come on, this is, what do we have to do to try and drum this through? But until they see what's happening around this, you see how they've been exploited. This is a really difficult conversation to have. We're honest with them. You're being exploited. You're now going, and somebody told you about joint enterprise. Yeah, you might have the drugs on you. You may not be selling the drugs, but this is joint enterprise. You're as guilty as that guy that you carry them for that's going to go and sell them, that's going to go and do X, Y, and Z, that's got all of this stuff that's sitting at home or whatever. You're as guilty as he is because you're part of that joint enterprise and actually the offences that you're committing around there. This is happening every day of the week, and we do make a difference, but we can only really make a difference when that young person wants to engage with us and actually wants to do some change. There's another young lady in Luton, very similar circumstances to that, but actually we got her into a job this last couple of weeks working for an estate agent. She's 17 years old, part-time job to do that. She would not have done that a couple of weeks ago. This isn't gender specific. It's not really race specific, ethnicity specific. It's not black, it's not Asian, it's not white. It affects all communities. And again, I've got loads of these stories. Another one that springs to mind is last year, this young lad, been working with us for a while, over a Marsh Farm. His mum came home and actually had a knock on the door. This guy from Somali drug dealer knocking on there. Your son got arrested. He had £3,000 taken off of him, drugs. He's got a new drug debt. He owes us. Mum's having to do this on the doorstep and have this conversation around there. How do we pick up the pieces on the back of that? He's been exploited to work for this gang. He's cutting up drugs. He's carrying them for them, whatever else. But he gets arrested. He's lost the drugs. He's got the drug debt now. £3,000. This isn't going to be 3,000. It's the holdover to do that. This is happening on our doorsteps around this. The threats of knife crime, there's all this happening on the back of their game. So what do we do? What do we do as a charity when we go and do this work? Roseanne and Amy go into the schools in Luton. They get referred to the young people, the 13, 16-year-old team in Luton. For those kids that are starting to sort of wobble around school, they're starting not to turn up, they're starting to show different behaviours around this. We try and get in early, it's about early intervention. That's quite late. Sometimes when I started doing this, we were working with 18-year-olds plus. Now we're 30. This year we're going to down to 11-year-olds. All the time, this age group is dropping down. Early intervention. We're now talking about working with 7-year-olds as well. We won't do that. We've got some partner. We're linked to Change we work with closely. And Hayley Brown, she's the chief exec there. So Hayley's staff, they're trained to sort of work with 7-year-olds around this. But that's the age we're starting to work at, start to see some of the problems they're working with around this. But Roseanne and Amy will go into the schools, they'll deliver this, they'll actually talk to them, they'll run over a number of weeks, and hopefully the youngsters will turn up. They're not always in school. If they're not in school, we go out and find them. We're going to knock on the home addresses, they're not at school, we'll phone up mum, where are they, what are they doing, we have a conversation. It's the school holidays this week, so Roseanne's got a number of appointments, she's going to do home visits with them as well. It's all about support for these young people. But once they turn 18, that support starts to become a bit more punitive in terms of what they've done. We've spoken to the life sentences. One of the things I see now, Sonny mentioned this life sentence. What's the life sentence? 25 years. It's not 25 years. It's life. Because actually, they might do 25 years in the prison, but when they come out of prison, for the rest of their life, they've got to see probation. They're on a lifelong probation order around this. They're on a licence for the rest of their life. So if they do anything, they can be recalled into prison at any point in time. So it isn't a 25-year sentence, it is a life sentence. So a lot of people don't realise that. And those other restrictions are on there as well. So it's really, really important that we bring this home about the consequences of knife crime. Excuse me, I just made a few notes on my phone before I came to make sure I didn't forget anything. So I'm just going to check to make sure there's nothing I've missed. Yeah, there's a couple of things actually. One of our members of staff, Alison, she does all the administration for multi-agency gang panel in Luton. She does that with the Youth Offending Service, that with the Youth Partnership Service. They've just rebranded themselves with Dave Collins' his team there. Alison sees all the referrals coming through to actually the monthly panel that comes through. There's that sort of thing there. So U-Turn Futures, we provide the administration for the multi-agency gang panel. On the back of this, I think this is referenced on the flyer for this event. The Knife Angel came to the square just outside here with Wingman Mentors. We staff the stall, in many of those stalls with Wingman Mentors, with Michelle and Si there as well. Just want to talk about mental health for a minute, actually, and neurodiversity or neurodivergence. A lot of the young people we work with have learning challenges around mental health, childhood traumas, have had difficult upbringings, but also neurodivergent as well. The mainstream schooling that they get, that education, doesn't fit them all. It's not one size fits all, and these are the kids that are so susceptible to this type of crime around this. We have a mental health professional, Maham, that works for us as well. Maham and Jade just work in partnership. But Maham can work with those young people and actually talk to them about this. And occasionally this stuff gets a bit too heavy for us and we can refer on to other professionals. But I mentioned the childhood traumas. They have a childhood traumas at an early age. The classic things are, dad's in and out of prison, drugs, alcohol, single parents, those sorts of things, domestic abuse. That all happens around this. It's all a big mix around there. The final thing really on there is that I want to mention on there is that Sonny's come with this from a policing perspective. There's a statutory duty between all the local authorities, the police, the probation, education to do work around this. But a lot of the work can't be delivered for the sake of the charities, U-Turn Futures, Develop Wise, Mary Seacole. We had somebody talk about Montel, their film a minute ago, and Pentic. All that fantastic work that's carrying on around there. All these small groups, all the small charities, community interest companies are so vital to the delivery of this work. And a lot of this goes on tirelessly right in this community, particularly as well. And if I hark back to my days in terms of policing, when I was a police officer, go back to the early 1990s, Marsh Farm, the tower blocks over there, you would not have been able to walk in those tower blocks, certainly when there's a police officer over there. When I walked in there the other day, as I said, I was actually surprised that it's pretty welcoming. And so I think actually it's not all doom and gloom. There's been a lot of changes in Luton over the last 30 years, a lot of changes to the better. But the next thing we've got to tackle is actually some of these difficult situations we're talking about. But thank you very much. It's been really nice to listen to me today, and I hope you get a lot out.
Thanks, Neil, for that. I'm sure, one of the things Neil mentioned was about parents in particular, and that's one of the things that we discovered when we had our community Bedfordshire Against Crime community focus group. Is the support that is needed for parents, and we actually have a project coming up soon, which is around supporting parents, to increase their income. So, and that's because that's one of the issues, like Neil mentioned as well, with knife crime and youth crimes. Is a lot of it is linked to poverty, and that's by addressing that to some extent, you're able to see a change, in that area. But what we are going to have next, we have our, deputy mayor, is here now. So we are going to welcome him up soon. But before that, we are going to welcome up a young person that actually took part in our planning for the creative sessions. That's where the young people they vocalize the insight they got from this podcast. So I'm going to welcome up Alta, please welcome him up, encourage him, smashing young guy. Yeah. So young guy, Alta, smart young guy. So Alta, how did you find out about the creative sessions, the practice?
The first time I went there, I was like, what's going on? I haven't doing something like this, but like there's this kind of issue in school, like people are like scared to speak up. And the schools they have like a safeguarding team and stuff, but no one actually goes there and tells them their problems. Like they're gonna say like there's a tutor time, they're gonna say, if you have a problem, please tell our safeguarding team. And I know some people that like have a problem, but they're not my friend, but they don't say anything. And I think that's really concerning because like they keep on going like, oh, what do you want? Oh, this. No. Or even when they try making it as a joke, they're like, oh, do you want this? Do you want that? Then they just all make it as a joke. And then most of them are like, oh my god, like that. Just not good.
That's not good, Yeah. So, like, what would you say would be a good solution for that?
I was thinking because like loads of people have extra activities because like the later they are, like the more involved they are to this background. So like for example, I like football. So if they can get something that they can be doing that keeps them happy, so I think they can shift their life.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So from the creative sessions, what would you say your biggest insight was about knife crime? What did you?
I think it's when they were like when they said the fact that it's not just only in Luton because knife crimes happen loads of places. Like it's not only in Luton, which is very surprising because most of the time when I hear in the news, oh, knife crimes in Luton, someone got stabbed, 18-year-old, and it's mostly around young children and young people. So I think it's mostly forced, but some people try to hide it by saying, I'm just trying to protect myself when they're actually getting forced to do it. If not, they can get killed.
There's a lot happening in the background, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I've just one more question for you because like Brittany, she supported you to vocalize the insight that you received during that time. can you say a bit more about that experience?
Brittany here, she's very nice. She like I never like the one thing I didn't like was poems. And then I tried poems for the first time because we had this session where they were like, just write a poem. And I tried poem for the first time and it was surprisingly really good. So I never knew I never knew I was good at poems, and she really helped me because like the things she did was just good.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks, Elka. Yeah, please give me a round of applause. So, yeah, we are going to be having, like a creative sessions after, the podcast today. Yeah, the podcast is set up, so we are going to have the podcast. But we are going to be having a creative session after the podcast. So, can you? Yeah. So that's one of our, volunteers, Abidevi. So yeah. So like, you want to sign up a young person, or your child, please, go to her, and then she'll sign them up for the, creative session. So, like I said, the deputy mayor is here, so I'm going to welcome him up to, to basically, and it shows, that, Luton really cares about this, and Luton wants to, see a change happen. And after the deputy mayor, then Mary Siku, they'll come and they'll share about what they do. And then after that, we're gonna have a break before the podcast. So during that break, the VR sets are out there. So all of the young people here, if you have never tried the VR, everybody, if you have never used a VR set before, yeah, please go there, and I've not used one before, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. So okay, what we are going to do next, I'm going to welcome up the deputy mayor.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Babatunde Ajishola, Councillor for Northwell, Deputy Mayor of Luton. And on behalf of the town, I want to say a very big welcome to all of you. And just before now, about an hour ago, the Youth Council was being launched in the Mayor's Parlour. And of course, there's so many things being done around in support of the youth, because we know they are the future. And of course, within the council as well itself, the youth partnership, headed by a gentleman called David, is doing so much works and so much job to keep our youth engaged, and of course, for them to be a better person tomorrow. I'm just quickly going to go through our head. Again, it's a privilege to be here, and of course, I've been listening to everybody, and of course, I'll listen more and learn more, because it's a community thing, and we'll always learn from each other. And of course, I'm here today as well, to support, because of course, I believe this community, the job we are doing, especially concerning our youth, I support that strongly. And I want to just, have a little word for our youths. I say, just to let you know that carrying a knife doesn't really make you safer. It doesn't make you stronger either. What it really does is to put your life and the lives of others at risk. So last year, as mentioned earlier by the last speaker as well, due to the collaboration of Wingman Mentors with our charity, a powerful sculpture made from over 100,000 surrendered knives that was made into a statue. It wasn't just a metal and steel, but it was pain, loss, and a wake-up call to everybody. He visited our town, and the Knife Angel Legacy Fund that followed has really helped us as well. That's what has kept this conversation going as well, which we're very grateful for. And I've been sharing these messages with others as well, just that they know that keeping a knife doesn't really make you safe. Keeps, as many people have mentioned there, and I'm sure you're going to listen more. A little mistake keeps you in the record books for almost entirety of your adulthood. Unable to perform so many things, unable to do some certain jobs, unable to even go to team, some playgrounds, team places to have fun with the family. So keep knives away from your pockets, from your body. Very good. Thank you very much for inviting me. We are very
Okay, Yeah, I'm going to just welcome up Mary Siku now before the break. But before that, I would just like to say thank you as well to all of the organization that have supported today to make it happen. Nigerian Bedfordshire community, Luton Futures, Mary Siku, AUK Radio. They are going to be facilitating, the podcast later. And also, one of our directors is here because, like Neil said, every organization, it's not just one person. There's a lot of people in the background that keeps it moving and supporting us to do, the work that we do. The other director, Tim Mason, was not able to make it here today, but that's Simon Mitchell there. It's one of the quiet guy in the background, but keeps everything going. So yeah, Simon, can you please stand up? You show your appreciation for Simon. Thank you. So very simple.
Hi everyone, how's everybody doing? All right? Good,
Yes.
Thanks, Sarah. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you
Good.
so much. So my name is Sarah, and this is my colleague Naisha, and we're here on behalf of Mary Seco, but more so the LIFE project. So LIFE stands for Luton Youth Future Empowerment. You're probably wondering what is LIFE. So LIFE is dedicated to supporting young people, families, and the broader community in Luton. Our mission is to empower the youth to tackle challenges, address critical issues, and promote positive and supportive community environment. So our slogan is positive youth, positive community, and we like to chant on the fact that there are countless choices and endless paths in life, but true power lies in knowing that you can always turn back. So it reflects our commitment to fostering resilience, driving positive change, and creating a safer, more supportive environment for everyone that we serve. Fantastic. So our objectives, zooming through there, right? So our first objective is to provide comprehensive support to young people facing challenges like homelessness, housing issues, and exploitation. It's to also strengthen relationships within families and communities, to mediate with statutory services to ensure young people receive the necessary support, to strengthen community ties through outreach efforts, empower youth by addressing issues such as mental health, substance abuse, and employment/training opportunities, and lastly, to promote a positive community atmosphere through active engagement and support.